Kanye West,
which is hit and miss as far as stuff that makes sense.
So it's the same,
right?
My favorite Kanye tweet, and I'm gonna butcher it exactly if somebody can find it, but it wasn't about
Bill Cosby, right?
Yeah, I don't have Twitter on my phone. I only use it on my computer. I brought my MacBook in the club.
Okay.
Which is
it's like I'm dedicated, but I'm making it harder on myself, and I want everyone to know that.
For whatever reason, it's like I could just imagine just your stereotypical kind of like intro LA club scene of debauchery, and there is bespectacled Kanye typing out his tweet on his MacBook.
While also working on his bio. Writing up a philosophy text.
Oh my God. It's infected my brain, those videos. They are weird.
Man, I tried to send those around to you guys a while back because they do that to you. And I wanted to infect you all.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tom. My infection has been fruitful.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go put the bird away and then we'll be ready to roll.
Oh, have the bird on your shoulder.
Put the bird away.
He's got a cockatiel.
No, I was trying to misinterpret it.
Dr. Bird.
Well, hello, Dr. Bird. Whoa, goodbye.
Dr. Bird.
Dr. Bird.
I miss my bird.
Put the bird away was hitting me like the bear sticky with honey.
Oh, okay. Totally different.
Yeah.
So many bird jokes. Speaking of put a bird on it, does everyone here watch Portlandia regularly or no?
Not regularly.
I don't either. And
it's also 1:30.
Okay. How about that? All right.
Put the bird away.
Put a bird off it. Let's get to the show.
Birdhouse in your soul.
Yeah.
All right. We're locked in. We're locked in, Todd.
All right, good. Sarah Lane, if you would do us the honors.
I would.
In 3, 2.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, April 19th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
Also in Los Angeles at Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
In Oakland, California, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And permeating the world, our producer, Roger Chang.
Hello.
You are global.
How does he do it?
I don't know.
Because he's bad. He's nationwide.
It's a bad baby.
We got
how about that?
We got some thoughts today. We have words that we're gonna say on this Alliance Day a little bit later about ad tracking and Facebook, but not the same story. Different take. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Motorola's 2018 G5 lineup announced today includes, kind of a lot of models. The Moto G6, the G6 Plus, the G6 Play, the E5, the E5 Plus, and the E5 Play. All models have fingerprint sensors, dual cameras, USB-C, and with the exception of the E5, 18:9 aspect ratio screens. The Moto G6 will sell for around $250 to give you a sense of where we are on that scale. Availability starts in Brazil today, Mexico next week, and additional nations in the months to come.
Google's App Engine is discontinuing domain fronting, which previously let services use Google's network to get around state-level internet blocks. This applies to apps like Signal, GreatFire.org, and Siphon's VPN service, among others. According to Google, quote, domain fronting has never been a supported feature, end quote. But it did allow developers to use Google as a proxy, forwarding traffic to their own servers through the google.com domain.
They are no longer fronting. Intel confirmed to TechCrunch it has shuttered its Vaunt smart glasses, aka the Superlight project. The information has sources who say this also marks the end of Intel's new devices group and will result in some layoffs to that 200-person team. Back in 2016, the group had a round of layoffs and shelved other key projects in its hardware pipeline, including the Basis fitness tracker they were working on at the time. I've often thought this was Intel's big bet, but it sounds like it's a bet that didn't pay off. Now, that said, while Intel is searching around for a new direction to sink its money into, let's talk a little bit more about what Facebook's doing regarding the same space.
Facebook has posted a job listing for a manager to build an end-to-end SoC ASIC firmware and driver development organization. Sources tell Bloomberg that Facebook wants to design its own semiconductors. Facebook AI researcher Yan LeCun tweeted Wednesday that candidates interested in designing chips for AI.
Yeah, so it seems like this is for real. Now, this isn't too far off what Google is doing, where they are designing chips for AI. And again, I think it's important to note, they're not building them. They're not making foundries. The fact that there are so many places like a Foxconn out there that can build this stuff for you, it gives companies a little more flexible to say, hey, if we get some good chip designers, we can do what Apple did. They bought PA Semi and a few other companies back in the day. Now they design their own chips. Maybe we can do that too. But it sounds like Facebook wants to do it for AI-based stuff. So maybe in smart speakers, or maybe getting into the space like Google is in right now, providing AI as a service through the cloud, something like that. It does make it look like Intel, who we just mentioned, might be a dinosaur in wanting to be just a chip maker, that this may be something that companies can just bring in-house for future product lines.
Well, I mean, Intel was not trying to be just a chip maker. It just seems like this hardware arm wasn't really working out for them. There was a statement that Intel said, we try a lot of things and they don't always work, that's real standard boilerplate stuff. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you were working on smart glasses, which were announced not that long ago, not to go back to the previous story, but I just did. And then to shutter apparently the entire group of let's do things other than just chips, which Intel is known for. And then the fact that Facebook has enough money to license with whoever, right? Like previous licensing agreements or licensing agreements that have been the standard thus far don't have to work. And especially a company like Facebook, they don't really, they don't have to like play by those rules anymore.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is something that Apple not only got into with their iPhone chipsets, but also now the rumors over the last few weeks that they're going to ditch Intel for their laptops too. So the world of custom chip making is heating up even more than it was before.
EarthNow, a space imaging startup backed by Airbus, SoftBank, Greg Weiler's OneWeb. Greg Weiler is somebody you should know. That name should ring a bell because he has been declared the most powerful man in telecommunications. He is somebody that in the telecommunications world is right up there with Bill Gates, who's also backing this project, EarthNow, which says it's working on a constellation of satellites to provide real-time, 1-second latency video of the entire planet. So you could look at a part of the planet and see what was happening there no more than 1 second ago in video. EarthNow lists storm monitoring, illegal fishing vessels, forest fires, whale tracking, conflict observation as examples of where video with little to no latency would make its product invaluable to governments and enterprise. Company says it's still in early stages. It just spun out of Russell Hannigan's intellectual ventures. They are often accused of patent squatting, but they occasionally do things and develop things like this. Among its big challenges will be compression and power consumption. These satellites that OneWeb is talking about designing, that Airbus would build, would have incredible computing power, but you still can't have a lot of power on a satellite. You just can't carry that much weight.
This, again, it sounds like the startup is in its infancy of building out this infrastructure. But imagine right now there's an earthquake, right?
Yeah.
And so on Twitter, we're all talking about it. There might be some pictures here and there, but it's, the whole thing. Imagine if you obviously, had a way to work with EarthNow, which isn't just going to be for consumers, at least not at first. Imagine if you had a way to be like, okay, well, let's look like above the ground in Los Angeles and see where all the fires are. Okay, I see. Oh, okay, I've got a real sense of this, almost like you were in a helicopter or something. Really changes the game for on the ground first response news and the like.
I also love that they list illegal fishing vessels as the way this guy. Like, finally, fishing snitching taken to a new level.
It's a huge problem for sustainability, though. So
here's what's interesting:
ocean piracy, right? Think about stuff that's happening in the water that isn't supposed to happen that you could look at in real time.
Here's what's fascinating about this, though. Right now, there are a lot of questions about, like, people subverting sanctions, for example. If you are to have a network that you could crowdsource, whether or not, I'm making this up out of whole cloth, China is indeed going around UN sanctions to bring supplies either to or from North Korea, and that's something that people can just look up on the internet and now becomes a story, that is gigantic. That is something that could.
And keep in mind, EarthNow is not talking about a video channel we can all look at. This is not Google Earth. This is, we will have the capability to stream video, but we will have clients that will pay for the privilege. This is enterprise and government, so we're not going to get to look at this. At least not at first.
Not immediately.
As that gets cheaper, then it is more likely. And let's say it's even just for governments or for different organizations. More eyes on stuff like that is huge.
Amazon introduced blueprints for its Amazon Voice Services app, you know the one, owners to create customized skills or responses without having to write any code. Okay, so those of us who aren't coders can customize our experience a little bit on our Echo speaker or a third-party one that uses the same service. Blueprints launched with 20 templates that users can use as a jumping-off point in categories like fun and games, at home, storyteller, and learning and knowledge. And new skills apply to devices associated with the user's own Amazon account and are not public. So they're truly customizable for your own home, at least in theory. Blueprints is US only for now. So for example, I was thinking, okay, there are a lot of like really, better use cases for this. But if I was to say to my speaker today, who's the best cat lady in the world? She'd say, sorry, I don't know that one.
Yeah,
but I could train her to say, it's you.
Yeah. This is not routines. This is not, I'm going to bed and then it turns off the lights and turns off the TV. That already exists. This is, tell me about the pets for your pet sitter, or what does the baby need for the babysitter could be programmed in there, stuff that's specific to you. I tried to make a story with this, and when I saved it, it didn't save. I don't know what I did wrong.
Oh, boo.
A story about my dog.
Yeah, that stinks. All right. Well, hopefully it gets better. Meanwhile, Netflix has a new feature for its mobile app that displays circles at the top of the screen that, when clicked, play a 30-second vertical preview of movies and television shows. I know what you're saying. Hey, this is like Instagram stories and Snapchat. Yes, and Netflix may be doing something even more interesting. Sources tell the LA Times that Netflix is considering buying movie theaters in LA and New York from Landmark theaters, but plans are stalled over price. If they won't let them in one way, Tom, they're going to buy the whole stinking joint.
Yeah. This would guarantee Netflix award consideration, right? They wouldn't have to negotiate with theaters, even friendly theaters like Landmark anymore. They just put it in their New York and LA owned theaters, rake off a little money, also giving them a little bit of leverage with the studios, I suppose. It immediately made me think of the days when the studios owned the theaters and that got broken up. And they said, no, Fox, you can't own all the movies and all the theaters at the same time.
I'm surprised this has not happened sooner. But, it's not just, Oscar consideration. We had a story the other day about how at the Cannes Film Festival, Netflix was like, okay, well, we just won't show movies there because you needed to have run in some French theater chain ahead of time. We don't do that. Well, getting the Palme d'Or is probably great for Netflix, but more to what I'm thinking of is there is a lot of content on Netflix that people love, but we're all used to watching it in living rooms or on laptops or even phones. there's no big theater experience for a lot of the stuff that would be well received in a theater.
And maybe,
it's
I mean, and there
idea.
is, Netflix shows almost all of its movies, like Okja and everything, in theaters in order to get awards consideration, but it's hard to find the times, etc. This could be make it a bigger deal.
Right. It's not a major theater that most
And Netflix
people.
could show other theater owners like, hey, look how many people we got when we showed it day and date. It's not going to hurt you as much as you think.
Just as much a prestige thing as it is them trying to make it easier for awards, and that in and of itself is a prestige thing. But look, they're pouring a ton of money into this Irishman movie with Scorsese. They want it to play as big of a movie event as they possibly can.
Yeah, they can have a red carpet if they own an LA landmark theater.
That's a fact.
Or New York. Facebook says it will shift approximately 1.5 billion users outside Europe, US, and Canada. So basically all its users that aren't in Europe, US, or Canada from being governed by the terms of service of its Irish operation to being governed by the terms of service of its US operation. Those are basically the two ways it's done it. Up till now, US and Canada were under the US terms. Everybody else was under the Irish terms. But moving the non-Europeans into the U.S. terms means Facebook will not be required by law to extend Europe's GDPR protections to those users because they're not in Europe. Facebook has said it will offer the same privacy controls and settings worldwide with only minor variations to conform with local laws. So why do this? So you don't get sued. If I'm offering GDPR protections through the Irish, basically if I'm in Nigeria and I use Facebook under the Irish terms, I'm protected by the GDPR and I can go sue in the European Court of Justice if something goes wrong. Facebook doesn't want that. They want to limit that. So they're moving only Europeans under the Irish terms so that only Europeans can sue them in the European court.
Which brings the number of folks who could potentially sue Facebook or Facebook, getting embroiled in some sort of a scandal from 1.5 billion to something like 400 million. It decreases that number a lot.
Yeah. I mean, people are thrashing Facebook for all kinds of reasons, good and bad these days. And obviously this looks like Facebook saying, oh, we don't want to provide protections. We'll wait and see if Facebook provides those settings and stuff, but I don't think it's unreasonable for a company to say, actually, we want the users of our product to operate under the law of their country, not through the laws of another country just because they happen to be under other terms.
Facebook has a presumably very well-paid legal team that is paid, that wakes up every day and says, how can I limit the liability of my employer? And that is what they are doing.
Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines. It comes on your Amazon Echo, Google Home, Anchor app, and more. You can find the way to subscribe as a good old-fashioned podcast at dailytechheadlines.com. So, a couple of stories out there. A report just came over the line right before the show by Princeton's Center for Information Technology Policy website, Freedom to Tinker, talking about third-party scripts that were capturing Facebook data. In other words, when you were logging in on, say, a news website with your Facebook login, the news website might have this third-party script from Ad Terrific that could capture the data that you said news website could have, but you never said Ad Terrific could have. Facebook says this is not okay, and they're going to work on it. The authors of the paper said that Facebook should audit their APIs to keep this stuff from happening. There's also another story out there about a company called Local Blocks who had an unlisted but unprotected Amazon S3 storage bucket full of personal data that was discovered by UpGuard's Chris Vickery. This personal data was scraped from publicly accessible data sources. So publicly accessible pages of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Zillow, etc. All of this is to say everybody out there is collecting your data. It's not just Facebook. We're getting all of these stories about, what third-party data. Facebook's tracking you even when you're not on Facebook.com, even when you're not logged in on Facebook.com. But the fact of the matter is, so is Google, so is DoubleClick. Facebook even says this in their post about it, and it sounds like they're pointing fingers, but it's true. If you go to a page, in fact, I did this on my Patreon column today. I went to the Guardian website's actual page about Facebook admitting tracking users off-site, and I used Privacy Badger to show that Guardian article has 36 trackers tracking me on that page. Almost all of them are not The Guardian. They're Google, they're DoubleClick, DoubleClick's owned by Google, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So where is the line? Because, and the reason I bring this up, if I run Privacy Badger on The Guardian, on Wired, on many sites, it'll tell me, hey, we think you're using an ad blocker because you're blocking all these third-party trackers. Don't use ad blockers. It's our revenue. And I'm definitely a person who is amenable to like, oh, hey, yeah, no, I want publishers to succeed. I want them to do good journalism. I don't want to block your revenue source, but also I don't want to be tracked without permission. And everybody's very mad at Facebook for being out there tracking on third-party websites off of Facebook.com. So the question we're dealing with is today, where is the line between supporting publishers by letting them track us and protecting our privacy? And are we holding Facebook to a different standard than news publishers, et cetera?
I think that the answer to your second question is no. We're not necessarily holding them to a different standard, because by and large, what we've had a conversation about in the national press and in front of Congress is ostensibly about the Cambridge Analytica thing. Now, whether or not we really want to have a conversation about privacy and privacy controls and how much we are being tracked, I think is the real defining answer as to what advertising will be over the next 20 years. The reason why there are 32 different trackers on that Guardian page is because that is what advertising is right now. Like, and by that, I mean all of it, from magazines to billboards to television news. Everything is going to the web. That is who is making the money, and everybody else is suffering for it because they are behind the times. So now that we are at least cognizant of what is happening, because by the way, Google became the company that it did based on this, not only AdWords, but also DoubleClick. Facebook has become the company, the revenue company that it is because of this, because they offer the ability for cheap targeted advertising on a level that nobody else really can.
Well, and now that a lot of how this all works behind the scenes is coming to light and people are more interested and more, potentially upset about it, worried anyway, what would be the appropriate disclosure for something like the Guardian's website to tell Tom Merritt, here's everything that's happening behind the scenes. You don't have to go like find this out for yourself, in a way that you would disclose, if you, I don't know, had invested in a certain stock or whatever. How would a news organization, whatever it may be able to explain this if they indeed needed to use this for their bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, we have one answer, which is everyone's making Facebook, or not making them, but they are advising Facebook, you need to tell us what you're collecting, give us controls over that. And when they did that, and I know a lot of this was rooted in the Cambridge Analytica story, but it has moved on from that to what does Facebook know about you? And they're putting front and center when you log into Facebook, okay, here's everything we have. We've simplified the controls. Would you expect news sites to do that? Or would it be better to say, hey, we work with this ad company. Yeah. If you want to know what that ad company collects about you, click this link, takes you over to that ad company, Google, DoubleClick, HotForge, whatever, and they will have a privacy policy. But none of those ad companies, because they're not also social networks, are getting that pressure. They're also not as big as Facebook either.
Well, I mean, but this would be going to Google, right?
It would be going to Google, would be the next biggest one, but there's plenty of them.
Well, sure, but so many of, Google is, because of their ownership of DoubleClick, is probably the 800-pound gorilla that you could force to answer questions, and will have any kind of social responsibility to do it. Other than that, if you're any of these other companies that have a lower profile, but are just serving these ads because they've compiled the kind of tracking data that they need to target effectively, sure, look, we can all do the runaround and introduce ourselves to the CEOs of all of these companies, but I doubt, unless there is a tremendous change in how much we care about where our data is going, that anything will be substantially different.
So you don't think any of these data tracking companies face any sort of PR nightmare associated with people knowing more about how this all works?
Absolutely not, because at the end of the day, they could just refold and do the exact same thing under a new company and nobody would care, or at least nobody has cared. Like, unless you are really into this world,
Right. Even carrying, you still have to go an extra step and like follow, if a company changed its name, like just the fact that you care doesn't mean that they're not going to do it under some.
There's an evolution in the attitudes here, right? Facebook, nobody used to care that Facebook was sharing your name and stuff. They're like, whatever. It's not like they have my social security number. Now it's what they shared my name and the fact that I like a certain thing. And that has changed because of the effects of targeting on things like elections. Now, local blocks is not a household name. It's certainly not as big as Google, but they know a lot about everyone, and they sell it for use in Salesforce, for use on mobile ad networks, for lead generation, for customer retention. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. You don't think that could eventually blow up in somebody's face and suddenly everyone's storming their local governments saying, why are these people doing this? I mean, we have the GDPR in Europe based on lesser fears than this.
So everybody understands that we now care about where our data is going thanks to Facebook and the Cambridge Analytica scandal. What my point presupposes is maybe they don't. They really care about the 2016 election and any kind of tendril that extends from it. I have yet, in all of this sturm and drang with Facebook, have yet to really see anything that extends. I mean, the tech press for sure, but then again, privacy in the tech press has been a thing for years now. But in the mainstream, I have not seen any kind of meaningful change that I think would lead to any kind of meaningful reform. And by that, I mean disclosures and controls that are easy to use and front and center from either Facebook or Google or any of these companies as lesser players.
But don't you think the 2016 election and the potential ramifications of all of this has changed the game? We don't just go back to like, oh, now they just take our data and no one cares anymore. There was just that one election. That will keep happening unless things change.
I think that if it's effectively used as a boogeyman, then it will. And if it's not, then it won't. Because again, I don't think we care about this. And by we, I mean the mainstream, not necessarily everybody's listening to this. Of course, sure. Everybody here listens and cares. But what I genuinely believe that we will go back to bed on this, because this is about the fact that a gigantic upset happened. And that is a tremendously a huge thing because of who it was.
Yeah, because if Cambridge Analytica is local blocks or Hotjar and only selling your data to advertisers and salespeople and CRM programs and not involved in politics, then Cambridge Analytica is not a scandal. It's not a big of a scandal. It's kind of what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, folks, what do you think? Let us know. You can participate in our subreddit. There's some good conversations going on over there these days. You can submit stories and vote on them there as well at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And there's lots of great conversations happening on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Let's check the mailbag. What are they saying to us right this second?
Allison Sheridan, who everyone knows as a regular contributor to DTNS, my friend and yours, says, Roger, got a question for you. Would you like to come over to my house and listen to some hits from the 1800s? Now, if you didn't listen to the show yesterday, you might say, what in the heck is going on? We were talking about the idea of digitizing old content. A lot of us have that. We don't want it to go away. We don't want it to degrade, but we're not exactly sure what our options are. Allison says, I'd love it if you could give a shout out to your audience, asking if anyone knows how I can listen to this old stuff, get them digitized. I have a box of content. They're my great grandfather reciting his own poetry. Wow. I have the books, but I'd give anything to hear his voice for the first time.
Yeah, she's got real Edison cylinders, Edison recording blanks, the cassette of the 1800s.
I wish I had one as well, but I wouldn't know what to do with it either.
Yeah, so if you know a practical way, I mean, granted, she could go buy an Edison recording machine, but that might be expensive. Also, it might involve a museum or two. But is there a practical or easy way for Allison to record those? We'd love to hear from it. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Thank you, Allison, for opening up that conversation. I bet we're going to get a lot of feedback. And also, thanks to Justin Robert Young for being on the show today. Justin Robert Young, what's going on in your world?
Oh, man. Well, I got a great bargain for everybody.
Oh, yeah?
Love a bargain.
Tax week, so hopefully everybody paid their taxes and got a refund or at least done paying it. But I got some good news for you. The game of presidential debate, the Contender, my card game, which is great and everybody should get it. If you haven't gotten it, now's the time to do it. If you go buy the base deck, our original 500 card base deck, and use code TAXCUT at checkout, you get a free mini expansion based on quotes from the presidents that created the taxes that paid on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when you wound up getting to file it, or maybe even before if you're smart. So go ahead on over there, thecontender.us. Just buy the original game and use code TAXCUT at checkout. You get the freebie. But speaking of free, I got another free thing for you. I'm just giving it away this on this episode. If you want a political newsletter in your life that is free every weekday, well, then I got the place to go. freepoliticalnewsletter.com. freepoliticalnewsletter.com. It brings you to my newsletter. You get it for free 5 days a week. I'm breaking my back here for you people. I love it. Talk to you later.
Get the refund, folks. And thank you to everybody who supports us here at patreon.com/DTNS. The members of our Patreon get all kinds of cool things. There's a DTNS Labs episode that went out in the Patreon feed today with Rod Simmons from SMR Podcast talking about autopilot, Tesla's autopilot. And he's been using it for almost a year now. And I have a much better understanding of how it works, talking to him about the things that bug him, how he uses it, why he thinks it's, it could be dangerous, but why he takes steps to make sure it's not dangerous to him and uses it as a tool. So if you'd like to understand more about Tesla Autopilot, by all means, check out that Labs episode. If you're not a Patreon, you'll have to wait till Saturday. That will go out in the main feed on Saturday. Right now, we have exactly the same number of patrons as we had last month. Our goal is to get at least one more than last month every month. And if we do, on May 1st, I will promise to do something to celebrate.
Or he'll promise to stop doing that thing you hate.
Right. So it might be not singing.
If you have ideas about what Tom should or should not do, we would love to hear them. But actually, we'll take any suggestion. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Shannon Morrison. Len Peralta will be in to illustrate. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
You doing that made the show exactly 30 minutes.
Doing the burp, 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 burp?
Yes.
The Muppet. That's my favorite part. It's not my favorite part of the show. That would be unkind
it is.
to all the hard
fine.
work we did.
It's fine. It's your favorite part of the show. I get it.
It's like my security blanket of the show where I'm like, oh, okay, everything's okay again.
Yeah.
I got my Muppet laugh.
No, that was great because I was like, oh, it's going to be like 28:58. And then you did that. And I was like, 30, exactly.
Well, it's kind of like your signature at the end of a.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, folks, I still don't know. I still need to look at the rules of what we can do for giveaways. I would like to reward someone for being, the person that helped us make sure we were getting to be the next patron. Somebody suggested we could do like, we'll record a voice message for you type of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So maybe that would fit.
Yeah.
As a non-monetary giveaway. I could sing all the presidents to the tune of Yankee Doodle.
Okay. Yeah.
That's another idea.
That's probably something that someone would like.
That's a pretty good one. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
You could go on Maury Povich.
Wow, come on. Let's set the difficulty a little higher.
Hey, I mean, he covers lots of topics.
Yeah, but I don't want to do something too easy. Hey, Maury, can I be on the show tomorrow? I have to do all the presidents if I do that. Damn.
I mean, you're almost there.
Goucham says there are Edison cylinder players on eBay.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
How much are they, Goucham?
Yeah.
Since you're already looking. That's crazy. I'm going to guess they might be expensive, but...
Justin, how old is Mr. Bird? Sir Bird?
Dr. Bird.
Dr. Bird.
Use his
Dr. Bird.
appropriate title. He is a doctor.
PhD
Dr.
Bird.
Bird is 5 years old.
Okay. So Dr. Bird isn't that old.
He's a little baby. A
Oh.
little baby.
He's a little 5-year-old bird.
Oh, he's the young one. The other two we got are rescues, so they are of indeterminate age. We can only really take a guess as to how old.
Yeah, because with like cats and dogs, they look at teeth, but with birds,
You really can't tell. And to be honest, it's also kind of a crapshoot with birds in terms of sexing them. Like you can't really tell whether it's a boy or a girl unless you draw blood.
or like the markings are just like super obvious,
Yeah.
depending on the breed.
Yeah.
Which is not always the case.
Sexing the bird.
Oh. Well, and then the next question is like, does it really matter if your bird is a boy or a girl?
Oh, it matters. If you have both a boy and a girl, then you very quickly have more boys or girls.
Well, okay, it matters in a breeding sense, but otherwise, the bird is loved either way.
Oh, of course. Certainly so. You normally have to you gotta
Now I wonder if Squeakers, my old cockatiel, was a boy or a girl. I mean, we thought he was a boy, but that's just what someone told us.
What should we call this show, by the way? And
Bird
Roger-
watch.
There's
Birdman.
ads on tracking crack. Facebook knows when you've been naughty or nice.
Well, hold on. Which one of those is it? Is that one title or two?
Two.
Which one do you like?
No, it's kind of hard, but
I really
Facebook
like
knows when you've been
artisanal
naughty or
chip
nice.
making.
Huh?
Artisanal chip making is really funny.
I'm good with that. Artisanal chip making?
I can do that.
Sure.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Can I take over the post?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, AI chips B is a funny callback to our movie draft. I see you.
Chips.
Chips B.
Chips. Female dog. How does Roger do it?
I don't know. I have a head cold.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
I got it from my kid, and it happened overnight. Ugh,
Boo.
very fast.
So back to sexing the birds.
All right. You want to giggle about a term? That's fine. Yeah, you and your middle school humor.
Right, Tom. Grow up.
So sophomoric.
Maybe that should be our next challenge.
Yeah.
Tom will grow up a little.
Grow up.
If we get to one May patron more than last month, I'll grow up a little.
It's perfect. No, I love it. I love a sweet little bird. They're very smart. They've got little personalities. Kind of jerks sometimes.
Dinosaurs.
They're dinosaurs.
Dr. Bird, we joke, and you have really just made a mistake by giving me an opportunity to just talk about the bird for 50 minutes.
This post show's for the birds.
Dr. Bird finds
And the
what
people
we like
that
to
love
call, caves of wonders. He likes very dark little.
He likes to burrow.
He likes to burrow underneath pillows and underneath blankets, and then you'll just hear him go make these little bird squeaks.
That's so cute.
It's adorable, and then he'll get so embarrassed if you call his name, he'll come scurrying out of his little cave and go, "Oh, what? Wasn't me."
Yeah, I didn't do it. We had
It's the Cave of Wonders.
our old cockatiel Squeakers.
Mhm.
had his own language. He'd listen to the television, and so we called it Ernie Bird, which doesn't mean anything, but he'd just be like, and so he'd kind of just be off in the corner, kind of talking to himself when he was in a good mood. But he was mimicking human voices. None of it made any sense. He wasn't actually saying the right words. And then he also liked very specific things. He liked pasta. He liked sponges.
Uh-huh.
And he liked paper towels.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't really like anything else. But when you'd show him a sponge, he'd be like, and his wings would go up and he'd be like, I'm so happy, and it was just the weirdest, most adorable thing in the world.
Dr. Bird has expensive tastes.
Oh.
And loves.
Givenchy, perhaps?
No, headphones. Literally.
Got it. Beats by Dre, not good enough for Dr. Bird.
No, Beats by Dre is apparently that my
it's Bird finances. It's
my wireless Beats by Dre headphones eaten every cord
Bird budget
have eaten. That dude loves it. So that's why Ashley actually got the earbuds.
And but you're not like loves it in what sense? Just to be near?
Oh no, chewing through the cords. Like
not
cords. He's destroyed like at least 3 headphones that we've had, and that's why Ashley wound up getting the AirPods because they're parrot proof. Like he can't. It's solid enough plastic that there's no soft cord that he can chew through.
I see. Sammy, are you hearing this?
So for him, it's soft cord porn.
I mean, Tom, I'm just.
Listen, there's a genre for everyone.
Sure.
Okay. That's the beauty of the internet. Yeah. So I love that. It's like, it's not that he likes sound quality or, over the ear headphones are very comfortable for his little bird head. He's like, I want to destroy the most expensive thing you have in this office.
150%. That is what he likes to do, and he's malicious about it.
I like it. That's a smart bird.
Yeah.
Good leverage.
But yeah, no. Other than that, what else does he love? He loves. Millet. Millet's his favorite. And our other 2 birds stick together because he's a bit of a bully. If it was just him and the other one and Cooper for a while, he would bully the older bird Cooper. But then we got Milo, and now Milo and Cooper stick together, and they're able to muscle out mean Mr. Doctor.
Do they make fun of him for being non-rescue?
I don't know.
Your life of privilege, Dr. Bird. The tables are turning.
It was actually a really good because they're flock animals, obviously, and when Doctor was a little baby and he was the only one that we had, he would get very scared when we would both leave the room, and we would joke that because he would just start yelling that he was just like, I'm abandoned. If you can hear the sound of my voice, I've been left behind.
Now, are everyone's wings clipped? They can't just like fly into the room after you.
Oh no, we don't play like that. They are full flighted birds.
So all
over the place.
So it's just more of like a petulant child.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
they did not Mr. They're birds.
Yeah. There are times where he does not want to go back in the cage, and you just gotta kind of wait him out.
Yep.
He'll fly around the room, and in my mind, he thinks that he's pulling the greatest escape of all time. Will never catch me now. I'm gonna go left, then right, then left. Oops, I'm still in the same room.
I'm free. Wait.
It's funny, but I grew up in the country, and we always had dogs and cats, and for a while the bird, which was, I don't think anybody in my house wanted the bird, but I really did, and so Squeakers was with us for some time, and he was adorable, and I think everyone sort of hated him because he was a difficult bird, but he had his cute moments, like when you show him the sponge, where you're like, I love you, you little jerk. However, I don't remember now how we navigated like having a dog and 3 cats and Squeakers who would also fly to his, he had his like little spot in the kitchen. He'd like to, be on top of his own cage. And there are a couple other places that he really liked, but like we never had an issue with like one of the cats trying to eat him. That never happened.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, how did we even do that? That's crazy. You know, because our house was just full of, it was like a, you know, menagerie. But I guess, I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
With birds, is it's not necessarily that you know, a cat would want to eat them or a dog would want to eat them. It's more of a danger to the bird. That was the reason why we got Cooper, or the owners gave up Cooper, was because he had kind of imprinted himself and loved the dog.
Oh,
Or not, the dog had a fondness for the bird. A dog playing around can kill the bird.
Doesn't know its own
so it's
strength.
not necessarily malicious, but it's just
yeah.
And also, like 9 times out of 10,
well, and you know that would have played into it too. It's like, even if my cats weren't trying to kill the bird, it's like, how were we all coexisting in that living room?
Yeah.
I really don't remember.
The Grand Central Station. That's a lot.
I'm imagining Sarah's childhood home as being Dr. Doolittle's house now.
Well, it wasn't far off. I tell you, it was a lot of animals. What do you think, Sammy? He's like, I'm just gonna sleep through this.
I'll make it through somehow. Well, folks, I guess we can end the stream there.
All right.
Thank you all.
See you guys tomorrow with Shannon Morrison and Peralta.
I can't believe it's